Hello, welcome to Split Screen, presented by Insert Coin.
Hello and welcome to Split Screen, brought to you by Insert Coin. My name's Dan Long and I'm here to introduce you to the amazing people from in and around the world of video games. People who love gaming just as much as you do. Today, I'd like to welcome Greg Miller. Greg is an absolute legend in the world of video games. He has done it all and continues to lead the industry right at the front as the founder and CEO of KindaFunny. He's also an author. He's done everything. Greg, welcome.
Hello, Dan. How are you?
I am okay, thank you. I'm okay. You good?
I'm great. Yeah. It's Monday morning here. A whole bunch of stuff in front of us. A million games to review and preview and talk about. It's never a bad time.
It's the perfect way to start a week, right?
100%. Yeah.
Amazing. So you've built this amazing thing with KindaFunny, this much loved and respected sort of voice in the world of video games. What was like your journey into building this? How did it all come about?
Oh man, how far back do you want me to go, Dan?
How far back do you want to go? Like the first rumblings of it as an idea, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is all I've ever wanted to do. The story goes, and I won't give you every blow by blow, but in the fourth grade, I had an issue of Game Pro, and on the cover was Death and Return of Superman, and the inside was Maximum Carnage. And I read it cover to cover every night for a month before it dawned on me that adults got paid to write the words. So I marched into the kitchen with it. My mom was cooking dinner, and I said, I know what I want to do with my life. And my mom said, what's that? And I said, I want to write about video games. And, to their credit, neither of my parents laughed at me. They both said, okay, well, that would be English. That would be journalism. We should push you down those paths. And they did. And so, I took that to the high school newspapers. I took that to going to college to get a journalism degree. I took that to a real newspaper. And then I was able to take that to IGN.com and worked at IGN for 8 years and, just had a ball the time of my life and started off as a editor on the PSP team, or editor on the PlayStation team, leading the PSP coverage. Then led the PlayStation team, and then slowly but surely, thanks to podcasts and me being in a bunch of dumb videos, started trending that way. And they made the mistake of giving me a talk show called Up at Noon that was strictly on camera and being a big deal on YouTube that they put a lot of power behind. And that really opened my eyes to what YouTube was. And suddenly I found a creative outlet I really wanted to do and started making my own YouTube videos on my own YouTube channel outside of IGN. And eventually that started sucking in my co-founders. Colin was my roommate, so he started doing it with me. I didn't know how to use cameras, so Nick started doing it with me. I didn't understand Premiere, so Tim started doing it with me. And it was, very much my own thing that then evolved into 4 of us doing it. And then that evolved into, we like doing this a lot. Could we do this as our full-time jobs? And 10 years ago in January 2015, we broke off on our own. We said, we're going to do this fully independently and not have those jobs anymore and talk about games every day. And people thought we were crazy, and we turned out to be Patreon's first big success story. And so 10 years later, we're still standing and still have this amazing team now of 11 full-time employees, multiple contractors around the globe.
It's like an amazing, it's almost like the video game industry fairy tale, isn't it, really? Like the proper, you've got that drive and that passion, from such an early age, and you've made it happen. It feels like that community spirit goes through the company as well. And so everyone's working together and making this thing that, people love.
Yeah, we've been incredibly lucky in this 10-year journey. On day one, the thing I said on camera to everybody was that we're not making this for you. We're making this with you. We're building this with you. This is going to be something that you're a part of. And you look out there right now at this team of 11, right? And you remove myself, Nick, Tim, and Kevin, and everybody else is a community member. I guess Cool Greg too. Cool Greg's Tim's brother. But everybody else was somebody in the community who was doing something amazing, who we started leaning on more and then started paying to do something. And then eventually we're like, why don't you come work here? Everyone has come from the KindaFunny community. We've never put up a job posting. We've just been like, oh, well, I guess technically we put up a Facebook post of hey, people who pay attention to our Facebook, we'd love for you to come do this. But it's a very special thing that we've done that. And we've, they've all been here this whole ride. 10 years really sounds like a lot, but then you look at the numbers the rest of the team is putting up where they've been here for 10 years. They've been here for 5 years, 7 years. It's insane.
10 years is a long time in video games, right? It's always,
You're telling me it wasn't always this gray, Dan. It wasn't always this gray.
I know the feeling. It's that thing of video games as an industry. It feels like it's like really like a huge churn and a huge movement all the time. You know, a game comes out and then 2 weeks later, people perhaps aren't talking about it in the same way. So to have
the game comes out and it's immediately like, all right, what's your next thing? Is there DLC? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, I just did 4 years of this game. Can I get that done?
Do you know what? It's a very different thing, and it's still a privilege to do it. But we get asked that as well. We get we'll put something out and it's like, oh, when are you going to do the next one? When are you going to do this next one? Just like, we just done this.
We just crossed the finish line.
Yeah, we just want to talk about this one for a moment. It's like we're out of breath. But I mean, it's to last 10 years in an industry that does have that kind of churn, that constant momentum is amazing. And
you talk about it and I understand so much from the dev side, right? Which of course you see all the time, but think about it from my side, right? Of the press enthusiast, press, whatever you want to call it side, where it's like what I've seen changes at IGN, layoffs at GameSpot, the complete closures of Game Pro, right? Like these things that were staples of why I wanted to do this and what I would go do, and the way it's changed and the instability there, and us being so lucky to be so ahead of the curve on that. I really struggled with when I started to learn what YouTube really was. And I went to that first VidCon, which would then give me the idea to make the Game Over Greggy channel, which would eventually become KindaFunny. What I struggled with at times was like meeting Phil DeFranco and iJustine and all these people being like, damn, like why, when I was making video game blogs for the daily newspaper I worked at, why didn't I turn the camera around and upload that to YouTube? Why didn't I was like, I'm so late to the YouTube game. And in retrospect, really, I was, the face of IGN. So I was already building my own brand that way. I just didn't own and operate it.
Yep.
And so when we broke away and got into Patreon, it really felt like, oh man, we're tip of the sword on something. We really are cutting edge, bleeding edge on this, where we would then be the inspiration for Danny O'Dwyer, for Ray Narvaez Jr., like all these people that go off and I'm sure to some degree, a min-max or an easy allies to see us go, oh, there's life outside of the tried and true traditional video games publication side. And even then you look at it and you see these other sites that have come, gone, changed drastically, that just couldn't do it in the same way. Whereas we've been able to truck for 10 years and we don't have 5 million subscribers, but we don't need it. That's not what we need to be.
We see it a lot with things that we do as well, is that it's not always like the size of a community that makes the difference. It's like it's the heart, it's the passion that drives everything forward. And if you're committed, if you're offering something that's unique and you're offering something that's, got a bit of heart and soul about it, rather than just like faceless, here you go, boom, 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 boom. It's kind of like, it makes a big difference, and people do pick up on that. People like say that, we obviously, I'm sure you do as well, like where people go, oh, we could do this kind of thing or that sort of thing. And you look at it and go, any gamer worth their salt is just going to go, no, I don't really like, I'm not going to engage with that at all. And it's weird how some people kind of don't see it and some people do. And I think we're kind of similar in a point of view of like, we're like, no one's going to like that. You've got to be honest and open and, upfront. And I think, do you think that's what your community sort of get from you? Like that's what they enjoy from you, if you want, like that they get that, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, what you like, what you don't like, that passion.
Yeah. What I've always said is, we trade in authenticity. And what that means is if we ever did something inauthentic because we were just chasing a headline, we were just chasing a trend, then we would lose the people we have. Because the people we have are with us because they know, oh, well, these guys are going to talk about what they really like or what they really don't like. But like you're not going to see me suddenly go off and do an F1 review, right? I don't know anything about F1. It's just not my scene. Whereas like when a new WWE game comes around, like, oh man, Greg's reviewed them forever. I want to know what he thinks. Even if I don't agree with him, I want to pop in. Or even if he doesn't like the game to that degree. And so, like, I think, being able to say we're passionate about this thing, this game, this genre, this platform, and we're going to chase that has been the key to success because people know to go there for it. It's the same thing I tell people back in the day when they wanted to get hired at IGN. Now, when people are like, I want to make my own podcast, they always go, how do you start? What do you do? And I always say, talk about something that matters to you. it's that idea of like, don't start your own website and try to be IGN. There's already an IGN. You can't be as good as them. Don't try to be the daily news show for video games. There's a million of those that are already have an audience that you're not going to go. Go and become the RPG girl. Go and become the fighting game guy. Go and say like, this is who I am, so that when people get to those things, I always tell this to every freelancer we work with, like, cool, you're great. Thanks for doing the show. Keep me posted on what you're going to review, what you want to review, what we don't review. Because I'd love to bring you in to fill spots on a game we were never going to touch, but we can get a headline out of you. You know what I mean? It's like, if it's not my thing, I'd rather pay you to do it or get you the code or whatever it's going to be. Like, you need to have that specialization, I think, to really stand out these days.
Yeah, it's like finding your niche and like going with it. So it's kind of like to sort of flip it onto how like games work. Like you look like a developer like From. And they've sort of gone down that route of like, well, this is the kind of game we want to make. This is, and there's variations on a theme, and like some of them are quite sort of far out there if you want to sort of like really sort of analyze them, but they are the same kind of thing. Yeah. And it makes much more sense to, it's not even like limiting yourself. It's just doing that thing that you know that you can do well. And you actually, you know, you've got that passion behind it that drives you forward to make more of the good stuff.
How many game studios have we seen eat so much humble pie because they either wanted to or someone told them to go make these games as a service, go make this multiplayer, go. It's like, no, we're the single player studio. We shouldn't do that. But no, go do it, make the money. And it's inauthentic and it just doesn't work. And it's not speaking to the audience you've already grown. And this is the big problem, I think, with the video game economy right now, is that you have, and maybe people have learned their lessons, but I doubt it. But you have these publishers who get the money signs in their eyes and then look at their studios and go, well, you're a great studio, you could do this. And they go, but that's not what we do. We make these games and it makes this much profit. And the promise or the potential of this much profit is what makes these people go, well, don't do that. Don't do what you're known for. Go do this.
It's the could, isn't it? That's like the key word from what you just said. It's like, well, you could do this. It's like, but then you're not actually doing, you're like stripping out the personality and the character of what made people like the thing in the first place to replace it with something soulless and kind of like, there's a thing, I think, that there was an Onion headline years ago about like we're going to stick another blade on the razor handle kind of thing. And it's like, you've got like that kind of mentality of like, sometimes you get like this perfect game and actually what you want is more of the same of that perfect game, like different location, different characters or whatever, but kind of the same like vibe from it. And then but actually then it's kind of like, well, here's some microtransactions and here's some, you know, like skins that you don't really want to use or whatever. And it's kind of like, well, you've gone off on a weird direction there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look at like, you know, and it's that idea of like, that gamble of, okay, well, we're sure we can get this little bit of profit from this if we do it. Then there's those gambles that pay off. And I'm wearing the shirt from you guys, Helldivers 2, right? Of like, look at Helldivers 2. Let's for 9 years work on the sequel to this Vita game. It'll always be a Vita game to me. A Vita game that is going to be obtuse and it's going to be challenging and you're going to die a bunch. And it's going to be frustrating. Let's not change any of the core values of it and put it out. And then that blew up in a time and an industry where we see so many games that are chasing that, not even get a tenth of that success.
It's really, I think that's a really interesting one because there are so many games that sort of go, like, you can see them. It's like, well, this is the way this game's going to go. It's like, they don't always do very well. And then when a game does it very well, you can kind of see the studios go, oh, hang on, they did really well again.
Maybe we should stay out of the way of the artists. Maybe we should let the artists make the art they want to make. Yeah,
maybe. Well, or we'll just copy it. wait a few years, copy it, and then go, oh, it's not working now. Oh dear. So you're well known for, at least to me, I think it is generally, that you're a famous friend of a certain Shirtless Spider-Man.
I do know Shirtless Spider-Man. I'm his photographer. That's right.
And they famously appeared in a PlayStation game. But if they had their own game or movie tie-in, let's not like limit it to video games. What do you think that would be like? And what hijinks would they get up to? What supervillain would they fight?
I don't know who it is. I'm guessing if it's Lord and Miller, who I got to yell at, but like it's criminal that they aren't in Spider-Verse. Cause if you get the latest one, the Across the Spider-Verse art book, on the front page, the first thing you open up, there is a shirtless Spider-Man in there with the gut hanging out, the mask. What went wrong? What penny pincher stepped in and said, we don't want to pay shirtless Spider-Man for his rights to put him in this? Yeah, that's where he should be. And if this third movie that apparently is never coming out ever gets made, it better have shirtless Spider-Man in there and shirtless Miles Morales now, because that's
main character, right?
And main characters, right?
Pass the mantle on, shirtless Spider-Man. That's it. The way forward. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why. Because that's how it should end, right? To start the shirtless universe and just go off that way.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there was like a really snappy like acronym for it, but I don't think there's one that works. So it's going to be not like several.
Just the shirtless universe. That's all it needs to be. Yeah.
The shirtless universe.
I mean, if Insomniac sees it, they're putting him in every game. So like, come on, let's get it together.
They know what side their bread's buttered, right?
They know That's, what the people want.
Get the money.
Look at the millions of sales this thing's brought in. Come on,
it's only because of Shirtless Spider-Man. That's true. That's what I've been hearing anyway.
People's got to see him. They got to see him. They got to know what he's up to.
So, if you could, this is a weird question, and like when you write something down and then you read it back and go, this is a really odd question. if you could introduce a shirtless version of any other video game character, who would it be? But obviously, some of them, I was rereading it back like about 5 minutes before we started, and then it was like, there's loads of characters who don't wear shirts anyway, so you could just cheat.
Here's the thing, Doom guy. All right, it's just the armor. That's what is it? The armor or is it the man? It's time to find out. I say strip this guy down, get him shirtless. Let's see what's happening.
But still with helmet on.
Of course, helmet on. You have to have the helmet on. That's too iconic. You got to have the collector's edition helmet, and then it also makes for very easy cosplay. When you have the collector's edition helmet, you take your shirt off.
This is it, right? So that's what.
Did you ever hear about the PAX panel? I had a PAX panel once where I encouraged everyone to take their shirt off, and that's when the enforcers stopped the panel. They were like, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. They were like, you need to stop. And I go, the panel or the bit? And they go, both. I'm like, oh, okay. I've never seen someone come on a microphone at a PAX panel and be like, this panel is stopping right now. We need to stop this.
That's the sign of a good panel, right? That someone comes in and tells you to stop.
Sure. Yeah, I had like a 3-year stretch where I had the PAX panel editor, whoever, CEO, whatever, the planner, whoever's in charge of PAX panels, meet me after every one of my panels to be like, you crossed the line here, and that's why you can't do that.
They had their clipboard ready and their pen. It's like,
it turns out they didn't want people shotgunning beers on stage. I didn't know. You know what I mean? I didn't know.
Well, you live and learn, right?
That's exactly.
That's how we grow as people by getting told off at panels. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into some AUTOFIRE questions now. These are the questions that gamers ask other gamers, I guess.
Love it.
And to find out more about them. What was your first video game memory?
Oh man, that's a super simple one. Ghostbusters on the Sega Master System. If you are unaware, I am a ghost head. I'm an obsessed Ghostbusters fan, and I always have.
I've seen the posts.
I'm sure you have. And so, there was a day walking into Toys R Us where my mom was taking me to get, I think, real Ghostbusters toys. And she made the mistake of going down the video game aisle. And, like a Terminator, we were walking and I saw the Ghost logo and I stopped and I turned and I put my finger on the glass and I said, what is that? And my mom explained, oh, that's a video game. That's a Ghostbusters video game. And I was like, I want that. And that was my kindergarten birthday present, however old you were in kindergarten.
And so that's where it kind of all began.
If only I would have seen the Nintendo version. You know what I mean? I don't wish growing up a Sega kid on anybody, but that's what I did, and that's where I was. And I would tell you,
I was a Sega kid as well.
The arguments I would have with friends about why Sonic was better. The first time I walked into my friend's house, and he's like, he was playing Mario, and I'm like, what is this? What is this gray box? This isn't a Sega Master System. And he's like, what the hell is a Sega Master System?
I had a friend during the summer holidays. We sort of arranged to we'd play games together, and they came around and played on Mega Drive for a couple of days, and then the next day they came around with their it must have been an N64 that they brought around, and they were just like, no, we're going to play on this now.
Look what a real thing looks like. Yeah, don't worry about that.
It was like, oh, okay. It's probably nicer ways of saying
so you guys don't want to play Alex Kidd? Come on.
Decap Attack. Come on.
Yeah.
So what I'm sure a lot of people in the kind of funny community probably know this already, but what is your favorite game of all time?
You know, this is an ongoing updatable thing that goes back and forth to a degree. And for the longest time, it was Metal Gear Solid. Then it was usurped by Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Then infamously, I switched it to God of War 2018 after that stayed long enough. And I think I am now back to Peace Walker. Not because of any offense to God of War 2018. It's just that I think so much more about Peace Walker. And I think Peace Walker is such a great narrative. It is so great gameplay. It was so built just for the Vita the PSP, and did so many cool things with ad hoc gameplay and pinging this and multiplayer there. Like, I think about that as an entire package, right? Let alone that the package was so good that it then became Metal Gear Solid 5, right? The Metal Gear Solid 5 is just Peace Walker way, way fancier. So it's like Peace Walker is where I go.
So is that a game that you sort of go back to now, or is it like, do you go back and play it? Or because some people like will go back, they'll have their favorite game and they go back like each year to play it like once, or is it something you go back to all the time?
I am infamous for saying old game is old and constantly pushing forward, because you know how this job is. Like, I'm going to go back to my desk and open my email and I'll have 3 codes for new games in there. So I'm always trying to consume new stuff. We did, when Blessing came on board, I think in 2020, we did for PS I Love You, XOXO, we went and replayed Peace Walker. So there's that. And whenever they get this Legacy Collection Volume 2 in, I'll be all about that, playing that and getting new trophies and stuff like that. But no, it's not, I'm not one of the every year I go and replay my favorite game or anything like that.
Just as a family, a Miller tradition, you load it up.
Have to, you know what I mean? Wait till Ben's old enough, then he'll really see.
that's. Do you think that that's a thing that has that started to sort of like come out already? That like the same sort of gaming taste. Do you think that will form over time, or?
I will be fascinated. You know, so many people push and pull against their parents naturally. And right now, Ben loves games. He plays Forza Horizon all the time, which is not my kind of game. He loves cars. He plays Forza. He plays Mario Kart. He plays Sonic Frontiers. What we were just playing over the week. He plays Animal Crossing when he wants to see, like I was gone this weekend for a long work trip. And so he wanted to see Dad. So he went and played Animal Crossing to see my character, stuff like that. So it's like, I will be fascinated as he grows up, because he's only 3 years old right now, how he gravitates or what it is. And like, you know, when his friends are into games, and he's like, oh yeah, Dad's had that for 2 weeks or whatever, and he doesn't care. And like, he's already so into sports that I really wonder if he's going to go that route and video games just won't be cool to him. But we'll see. We'll see. I dream about that. That's, you know, the touchstone for me always is, Donald Mustard, who used to work over at Epic, you know, right. And was the Fortnite guy, if you're unfamiliar from Game Awards. When Destiny 2 first dropped, he put up a photo, or his wife did, on Instagram. That was the three, they had a quad of flat screens on their basement wall. And it was Donald and his 2 sons playing Destiny 2, and then like college football or whatever on the 4th one. And I was like, that is I'd never thought about that, of like having kids and then being able to one day play the games with them, stuff like that is amazing.
It is weird, because like I've got 2 teen girls, and my wife's really into gaming as well. And so, but sort of different games to me. So it is weird, like over that course of that 10, 15 years it's a real, there is a change. Like there'll suddenly be and like friends are sort of like putting in more input, and like they'll go back to things. It's like, why are you going back to that? That's not a game you ever used to. It's like, oh no, everyone's playing that now. That's where like they're hanging out in games, and just like where it's like we'd go out on like bikes or whatever and hang out, you know, like that. They're socially, they're not even playing a game. They're just like basically in a lobby, just like sat chatting.
For me, you know, covering the games industry and talking about it every day, all day long, like that's one of the things I'm most excited for, is that perspective of Ben and his friends when there is, which I'm sure it will still be Fortnite by the time he gets there, but the mobile game that they are all playing, you know what I mean? We had brunch a few weeks ago with one of our friends, and he's got a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they were playing a bunch of mobile games I had never heard of. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And his dad's like, they actually suck. They're terrible games. I'm like, yeah, I figured that, but like, I want to know what is happening. What are the youth up to?
Yeah. So what would be your perfect future game? It doesn't have to be a game that's been announced. It doesn't have to be a game that's in the pipeline. What would be, if you could manifest any game, what would it be?
Superman. I'm a Superman fan. I'm a Superman stan. I love Superman with all my heart and soul. And so the fact that it literally feels like so many people have just thrown up their hands and gone, well, there's no way to make an interesting Superman game. I'm like, oh my God, come on. Like, I want someone to figure it out. I want, you know what I mean? That's the thing. I've pitched on our show before what my Superman game would be and and I'm not smart. I'm not a video game developer, right? Like, I'm not a creative like that. So I know that there's devs out there with better ideas. I really hope that they really go the Marvel Games route. Of like, we have this war chest of IP. There are all these talented developers out there. Why are we owning studios trying to make games? Let's license the IP to people, work with them. Like, I think what Marvel's done with Bill Roseman and his team is so impressive. DC needs to do that.
Do you think there's like a weirdly for sort of like a character that's like such a like a bastion of like bravery and sort of like standing up for ideals? Do you think there's like a weird kind of fear that people are just going to get it, that they are going to get it wrong, and so therefore just don't want to do it? There's no, like, almost like they don't want to take a risk.
I think it's the power balance of it more than anything. Because I think, are they going to get it wrong? I would look at Injustice, right, where Superman's evil. Like, people could wrap their head around that, no problem. And like, I really hope the James Gunn film we're coming up on is going to change the tone. I think we're about to do Superman in review here at KindaFunny. And it'll be fun to go through those movies. I don't think Tim's seen them yet. I've obviously seen them quite a few times. And as much as I love Christopher Reeve and the Superman movies he made, Superman, the movie, from 78, really ruined the character for multiple generations. And what I mean by that is it is such a pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths Silver Age interpretation of the character where legitimately nothing can hurt him except kryptonite, right? And so when you have a character that can literally rewind time, like, this isn't going, that doesn't, and so many people watched that movie and that they were like, got it, that's Superman. And then they never read a comic and they've never seen any of the updated stuff and they've stepped away. And it's like, that did so much damage to what people think of Superman that when you do, I remember even the animated series where they had a comment early on in development when they were doing interviews of like, our Superman's Superman, but like, yes, enough tanks could hurt him. And people were like, didn't read that, didn't feel that didn't vibe for them. And even that Superman's super overpowered. Like, there's such a hard way to try to figure that out and what do you do? And I think you have movies like Man of Steel, which love it, hate it, whatever. Nick Scarpino ruined it for me when he points out, of course, that like when Batman has a problem, he has to think his way out of it. He has to do this. It goes back to the callback. When Superman in Man of Steel is being pushed down by the World Crusher, what does he do? He punches harder. And that's so lazy. And it's like, you're right. That is so lazy. And that's like how people come down on this character. Not that he's going to outthink the situation or whatever. He's going to punch harder. And it's like, until we can get around that, come on.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I'd never really thought of that before. That it's almost like that first Superman film is such a definitive version. Yeah, that there's kind of like no room for growth or like development or anything like that. It's kind of like if you sort of had like Iron Man's arc just squashed like from the MCU, like squashed into one film, and then went, well, where'd you go from here? And there isn't anywhere to go. It's kind of, there's no development. You can't go anywhere. You've set out these like really cast iron rules that they obey, and then that's it. There's no wiggle room, is there?
What is that game? Because my pitch for the longest time, hold on, and the new game, it's got Aaron Paul in it. It's the superhero one. Him and Laura Bailey talked about it at Game Awards. Dispatch, where you're dispatching the superheroes and stuff. I had always wanted, either when they were in their prime or someone after the fact, a Telltale to do a Superman game. Because I feel like that would be such a great way around it, where it isn't so much about the moment-to-moment fighting. It is, this is happening. Are you using your heat vision? Are you revealing your identity? You can only save one person, because that legitimately should happen. Who would you save and why and where would it go? And when the Telltale's like, we're working with DC, I was so excited. Like, we're making a Batman game. God damn. And the Batman game was great. I was like, come on, like right there. We couldn't do a Superman game.
Yeah, because you could have had like a series, like a film series, like a universe of building up. Like, well, this is about this superhero. This is about this one, and sort of built it up from that. But I think that is a really, because he's such an OP character in a really underpowered world that you kind of want like something that's more nuanced, that's going to be like, well, this is, like you say, he needs a way of like thinking out of it. He's not just like you don't turn this supreme being into like just a blunt instrument, just to smash down a wall. Big man smash down wall again, and that's it. That's how he solves all of his problems. Seems counter to his sort of empathy that he has and his sort of inherent kindness, is that he solves all of his problems, like you say, just by smashing something harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next question. What is your go-to gaming snack?
Oh, interesting. I've never been a big eater. That's a lie. I'm a big fat guy if you're listening to the audio version. But I mean, like, I've never been a big eater and playing games. What I do, I would think more than anything would be Cheez-Its. I love a good Cheez-It. If I'm going to be snacking, I'll put them in a cup so I don't have to touch them with my hands. I'm a germaphobe, so I don't want to touch my controller and then touch the food. So I put them in a cup and then eat them like that.
That's a very elegant way of doing it as well. That's the thing. You don't want to get your controller like grubby. You don't want to you want to streamline the system, right?
Yeah.
You got to get the fast energy that you need.
I got to get this salty snack ready to go.
I think that's a great answer.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's all been leading up to this one. The last question. Who is the best dressed video game character? Have I broken you? I've suddenly broken you.
Well, that's not one I hear a lot. You know what I mean? I'm going to shock people and say Joker in Persona 5. I always liked his style with the trench coat, and the red and the black and the checkered stuff. Even their uniforms in school, I thought looked really good. And so I'm looking like, it's versatile. You know, you put on the mask, you're ready for a costume party, you're ready to steal some hearts, of course. But in general, just a good look, I feel.
Yeah. It's like a timeless one, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
all of their uniforms are really cool though. They've like nailed, that's their their specialization is like, we're going to nail this uniform. It's absolutely, perfect each time.
You guys should do some stuff with them. You ever think of that?
Well, Persona.
Yeah.
Oh, have you checked out our Persona range?
What? There's a Persona range?
Yeah, there are. There's 3, 4, and 5.
I know. You do good stuff. You sent a bunch. That's one of the reasons I'm probably calling it out is because of how much Barrett and Blessing wear their stuff all the time. I think it was Game of the Year where Barrett wanted to dress up and he wore the Persona button up. I was like, good job.
Amazing. And, you never know what else is in the pipeline, right? That's the thing that's great for, and it's kind of like, obviously this ties us back into like why we ask this question in the first place, is that what's lovely is how fast the world of video games moves. And there's always a new character who's amazing and who looks absolutely like spot on each time. It's just fantastic.
Let me ask you a question I've always wondered about.
Yes.
So for Insert Coin, do they come to you ahead of time? Let's do it this way. Would you say the majority of time it's the game's releases and you then hit them up and you're like, what about this X, Y, and Z? Or have we gotten to the point now where people come to you pre-release like, hey, we're going to do this game. It's going to be big. We love this look, blah, blah, blah.
That is a great question. And not for the audience. This hasn't been fed. I didn't know this at all.
I'm a trained journalist, sir.
It's a mixture. It's always a mixture of like the two different approaches.
Yeah.
As we've got bigger, more people have come to us before, and it's sometimes people don't realize when they're making a game, and you can understand because you're like when you're creating something, obviously you're really close to it and you don't always see the obvious path.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get like the character that's amazing and it's like, we didn't even think that we could make their hoodie or their jacket or their tee or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes it comes out of, so sometimes it's like that, and sometimes we'll instantly we'll be asked and it's like, well, definitely we should do that, or we'll see a trailer and go, we should do that, and like try and make it happen. Sometimes it comes out afterwards that you've got like, say for example, when we did stuff for Dark Souls and we did Solaire, like the hoodie version of Solaire's outfit. Yeah. Like no one kind of knew, even like as a studio, that no one really knew that would be the group that was really popular, that random specific characters. Yeah. So it kind of like, sometimes it's like really obvious. Sometimes it's sort of like, it sort of comes out from nowhere. And you're always kind of trying to look for the character that you think will resonate with people. So hey, this is the wisecracking sidekick, or, there's always your Han Solo kind of character, or your, Venkman, there's always that kind of like character that you're like trying to think they want to be that character or like manifest that take it from the screen and into the real world. But sometimes it's so difficult to predict because you'll never know, hey, this random character is just really popular, or this, weapon, or this company, or so sometimes it's like there was definitely a phase of probably about 10 years ago when we were doing stuff that the companies that generally would be the bad guy, they would be the popular thing.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of like shifted a little bit. People don't want to necessarily be the...
We got enough evil corporations in the real world. We don't need to be repping the fake ones.
I think that's the thing. I think that the world itself has kind of changed the sort of social dynamic of like, hey, I don't want to be a corpo rat anymore. I want to be like the freewheeling rebel, not tied to this horrible monstrous industry that's making zombies or torturing people in scientific experiments or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good question. But yeah, it is different every single time. And that's what's, I'm sure it's the same sort of thing for you, like making like videos and doing shows as well. It's always, the industry itself is so different.
Oof, always shifting.
You start doing something and it's like, well, what's going to happen today? What's the new thing? And it keeps you on your toes, right?
100%, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Greg. Thank you for that question, which is perfect. What perfect way to end. Thank you so much. What have you got coming up? What's next for Kinda Funny and Greg?
Oh my God. Are we posting this immediately?
It'll be coming out in the next few months. So like just a general thing.
A general way then? Yeah. So what Kinda Funny is going to be kicking off this year, our top 100 games of all time, where we're all going through and making our own. We're doing the same way we do Game of the Year, which the way we do Game of the Year is we all make personal top 10 lists. They are weighted. So your first choice gets 10 points. Your 10 gets 1. Then Barrett tabulates them all and we all see them revealed in real time. This time we are crazy people and we are doing a 100 game list for every person and weighting it. And so we will have no idea what that list will look like by the time it gets there. So we're looking forward to that.
That's a lot of games across a whole team. That's going to be skewing all over the place.
It's going to be very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll kick off this year. You can follow along on the Kinda Funny Games cast. That'll be the easiest way to catch us. Of course, we're live each and every day on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames, podcast services around the globe. You can get it on demand on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames. But hey, if you really like us, why not pick up a Kinda Funny membership and get all of our shows ad-free? And of course, a daily dose of me in a series we call Greg Way. You can pick it up on patreon.com/KindaFunny, youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames, Apple or Spotify, wherever you can support, we'll take it.
That's amazing. There's no escape and no one should escape. This is like we want to be caught in this kind of funny net and caressed by its charms. It's perfect. Amazing.
We're happy. Yeah. We're chasing this. We when we started doing the games cast every day, we pivoted to being like, we are a network of live talk shows. And so, at 10 o'clock, we're live and we're usually not off the air for free until 2:33. And then usually there's an afternoon podcast to record. So there's always something going on over here to turn on and, have as the background, your ESPN radio to whatever you're doing at home.
Amazing. Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show. And
Dan, thank you for having us. And more importantly, thank you for being such a great supporter of Kinda Funny. You have always been so helpful. Anytime I have some obscene request for a Last of Us shirt like Joel, you're always there with it. And I can't thank you enough.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be, like we were saying before we even recorded, it's just lovely to be part of a family kind of thing and an honor to be, part of your world.
Yeah, you definitely are. Insert Coin's been a great partner to us all these years.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for watching as well. We're going to leave you with a little outro from Insert Coin and we'll see you very soon for a new show. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, do you love video games? Us too. Insert Coin has been creating unique official gamer gear since 2010. From Ace Attorney to Yakuza, Cyberpunk 2077 to Astrobot. Represent your favourite games in style at www.insertcoinclothing.com. SplitScreen, powered by Insert Coin.